All right. Aaron, I left that little moment we had there smiling at each other before.
I know. It was amazing. We should have looked at each other. You know what I forgot to say? For all of our friends who are watching the previous segment, don't forget to fill out the poll. I know there's gonna be a link there. I saw the note in our notes area and I just happened to, yep, there it is. So click the link, fill out the poll, let us know what you think. And we'll go ahead and jump directly into...
My favorite type of money is free money. You're getting free money if you fill out this poll. $20 for free for the first 20 people.
I've always said there's two wake words for me. One is free and the other one is demo. And I imagine that John and Satbir from the Bedrock team, they'll introduce themselves here pretty soon, also have a free demo for everyone.
So let's go ahead with some intros.
John?
I'll kick it off. Hello, everyone. Good to join you. I'm John Leo, Principal Product Manager here at Bedrock. And right now I lead a service called Bedrock Marketplace. And I'm also deeply involved with all things that are DeepSeek. And for the record, the only GIF I recognize is peanut butter. So that's where I land.
Oh, we do.
I'm on the other side.
I have an ally.
I do recognize it's polarizing. But
John, we are immediately friends. Okay, next time we're together in person, we will have some peanut butter together.
You're on my watch list, John. All right, Satbir.
Hi, my name is Satbir Kurpa. I'm a senior GenAI specialist solutions architect with the Bedrock GTM team. Nice to see you.
Awesome. All right. So we've got two AI specialists. We've got people who are working specifically with Bedrock. And you said a word that is, I think, another wake word these days. Aaron mentioned money. He mentioned demo. But I think another wake word these days is DeepSeek. Would you mind telling us a little bit about what is DeepSeek and what does it have to do with Bedrock?
Yeah, sure. And certainly, even if you're not close to the space, maybe around January, you saw something to deal with DeepSeek. So what is it really all about, right? It's another LLM, another large language model. But what makes it different? What turned heads was the cost at which it was trained for, which we don't need to get into, and then the cost at which you can run. But at a high level, it's a 671 billion type of mixture of expert model. And it sounds really big, but every time you actually pass an inference request to it, it only activates 34 billion of those parameters to actually serve the passive request. It's got 128 context window. It's a text-only model, and it focuses on English and Chinese. But so far, that sounds kind of, we've heard this before. So where does it really stand out, right? There's something here called reasoning model, and it's relatively new field, right? So reasoning models focus very good on, can you guess? Complex reasoning.
Yeah. And I was trying to reason the answer in my head, and I just couldn't come up with the answer.
Yeah, it's definitely not about which one is the better candy flavor or anything like that. They do much better when it comes to what's the hard math problem? What's a deep science problem that I need to go look through? And they're very good at working through code, so code generation as well.
Do you think it can identify how many R's are in the word strawberry?
I can't even identify that.
That's way too hard, Aaron.
Yeah, but Wednesday, and then what's the other one? Anyway, there's a whole lot of things that I can't spell.
But what also made it very exciting, and I heard this trigger word, free, right? Okay, well, guess what? DeepSeek which is the provider behind DeepSeek-R1, made their model open source. And that is equivalent free. They made it open source under the MIT license, and nothing gets people happier than free models unless it's free candy.
That's very true. So one question that I've had people asking me when I'm talking about how you can now use DeepSeek with AWS is, if DeepSeek is free, why do I have, what is AWS's role in my using it?
Those are good questions, right? You can definitely spin up this model on your own computer if you want to, if you have the expertise. But this is where AWS can come and help. We can abstract away a lot of these difficulties. We have a few services that Satbir is going to demo a little in more detail, but at a high level, we have services that make you just through a 1-click or 2-click, deploy these models into our instances, and we keep those instances up and running for you. And we take care of some of the load balancing behind the scenes. And we also help with a lot of the security that comes with it, right? Because, open source is good, especially for emerging models like this, but it comes with the challenges of being open source too, right? You have to kind of be careful about what data you're sending it, what data that you're seeing. So here's areas where kind of Amazon can help as well.
And it sounds like someone is guessing where we're going with this. Schizophrenic web developer said, does this mean that DeepSeek is available on Bedrock?
Well, no comment.
It does mean that it's available on Bedrock, and it's available through a few areas. The first area is going to be through Bedrock Marketplace. So you can click in and kind of go through a serverful deployment. And there's a difference between serverful and serverless. Serverless means that AWS takes care of all the scaling behind the scenes. You hit an API and it just kind of responds. Versus serverful, you configure, set the number of instances that you have, and you can set auto scaling policies as well to scale those up and down. It just takes a little more work, right? It's for more advanced users. And then it's also available through custom model import. So you can actually train a lot of your own models and then import, because it's a Llama, or one of the distilled types, the R1 distilled models has a Llama architecture. So you can bring that into Bedrock through custom model import. So those are already three areas.
I feel like we're talking a lot about it, but is there anything that we can like show?
Yeah. I'll start with the easy thing, and then Sabir can take the hard part, right?
You mentioned the marketplace. Maybe we can like start there with the marketplace and see where it is.
Exactly. I'm going to show you something real quick before hopping in. So there's SageMaker and there's Bedrock, right? And SageMaker, you can think of that as more tuned towards like the machine learning practitioner. But the idea is the same thing, right? We make these models available so it's easy for customers to go and click and find the model that they want. In this case, you can already see the various different DeepSeek models, the full R1 model, as well as the 6 distilled type of models, the Llama and the Quen models. And the process that we're going to go through is similar between SageMaker and Bedrock. So I'm going to switch over to Bedrock, where you're going to see the same thing. A model catalog that shows all the different types of models, serverless models, serverful models. And then we're going to click into DeepSeek right here. And I'm just going to open up any one of these DeepSeek models here. Let's see what's going on. Here we go. It loads up the page. And this one, in this case, is the Quen distilled model. I'm going to deploy it. And here's where I can actually go and set my endpoint name, click the number of instances. In this case, we've already set up these instance types of G6 for you to use. And you can just click deploy. Once I click deploy, it takes anywhere between 10 to 15 minutes to set up the endpoint, after which you can start using it. And so we're just going to show this a little bit later. The other place... Sorry, was there a question?
No, I was just saying it's cool.
I have a question actually. So under instance type, and hopefully it's like maybe a 10, 15 second answer, but I see MLG6 2 extra large is the recommended instance type. But why would someone want to change that instance type from the recommended type?
Yeah, there are a couple of reasons. Like anything, there's a balance between cost and performance. Right? Sometimes you might, the beefier the instance type, for example, runs faster, but it might run a little more expensive. And that's great if you got some latency sensitive workloads or you're pushing through a lot of requests. Or the flip side is maybe you're just experimenting. You just want to see how it responds, so you can tune down the instance type that's selected.
So if you can tolerate more latency, then you may have like a cheaper option. Or if you need that high performant workload, then you may go with a more expensive option. It's going to push your workload through a little bit faster, which is probably more important and critical for or more important for those critical workloads for our enterprise level customers, for example.
Absolutely.
Definitely. And then when we're thinking about number of instances, this is going to be somewhat dependent on the amount of demand. So token input output. We've got a question from Schizophrenic Web Developer who says, can we use this on demand? So charge for token input and output like other models on Bedrock?
Through the short answer is going to be no right now, right? Because these are going to be serverful deployments. The way that they're charged is we actually charge for instance hours. This is through Bedrock Marketplace and SageMaker, but through custom model import, it gets very close to that on-demand type of mindset, right? We charge per 5-minute increments, I think, based on what you're using and the size of the model itself. So it gets closer. But as far as like the Bedrock full serverless, where you're just charging by token, stay tuned. I guess we'll see. There's definitely a lot of customer demand for that.
Awesome. So it sounds like there's a lot of kind of pick your own journey here. There's SageMaker, there's Bedrock Marketplace, there's custom model deployment. All of these are different ways to run a model on AWS. And then even within Bedrock, there's multiple different models that you can choose from. I mean, it's like a candy bar. There's none that is number one best to every single person in every single situation. There's some that are better for situations.
Well, you're right. So there's Risses and then there's Twix from me. Everyone watching one live, we asked this earlier, but type your favorite candy bar in the chat and let's see if I get outruled again.
Awesome. And so basically the benefit here of running DeepSeek on AWS is that you can have it, for example, managed by Bedrock and get to take advantage of security features and other different features that you would have to manage yourself outside. AWS can take care of for you.
Yeah, and it's just to emphasize, it's a shared responsibility model, of course, right? You know, AWS takes care of security, kind of the cloud itself, the infrastructure on the cloud, but of course, customers still have to take care of, you know, how they configure the security with the components that we make available. But that is definitely one of the key benefits, especially valuable for customers who are trying out an emerging model like DeepSeek, right? I mean, think about it. We're Feb 14th. This thing came to market Jan 20th, really. It's like 20, 30 days, you know? So
we're moving fast. We're always innovating for our customers. It sounds like you guys are really helping making that happen.
Exactly. And John, thank you so much for walking us through where we can find this. Satvir, I think you're going to go a little bit deeper into the actual model and show us some code and stuff too, yeah?
Absolutely. So thanks, John, for the walkthrough and touching upon the shared responsibility model. So what I'll do is I'll demonstrate how to implement strong safety measures for the DeepSeek-R1 model using Amazon Bedrock guardrails. And we'll be working with the distilled version of the DeepSeek-R1 model. We'll see how we can import this using a custom model import process. John already showed us how you can do this on the console with Bedrock Marketplace. So we've got an example for that also. And while Amazon Bedrock Guardrails provides the essential, I would say, content and prompt safety controls, implementing a comprehensive defense and depth strategy is very crucial when you are deploying any foundation model, especially any open weight models like DeepSeek-R1. So for detailed guidance on defense in depth, please go through some of our recent blogs in this space. And let me jump to the demo. So all the examples that I'm showing today is already in our AWS samples, Amazon Bedrock samples GitHub repo. You'll have a link to this in the chat. Let me switch to my work environment. So the first example that I have here is to import DeepSeek distilled Llama 8 billion parameter model on Bedrock using custom model import. And I have rerun this notebook in advance so that in the interest of time, this should take around, I would say, 20 to 30 minutes to run if you're running this on your side. So we start by installing all the dependencies, configuring the parameters. So as I mentioned, we are running the distilled version of Llama 8 billion parameter model. So these are some of the, I would say, configuration parameters like the S3 bucket that I want to download the model weights on. The region that I'm using is US West 2 for my demo. And the next cell talks about how you can download the model from Hugging Face itself. This process can take like about 2 to 10 minutes, depending on your internet connection speeds. After that, we upload the model to S3, followed by creating a custom model import job. This job runs in the background, takes about, I would say, about 5-ish minutes to complete, depending on your speeds. And once that is done, we start with initializing the model. First, we start by setting up the tokenizer. This is required for optimal performance. In this particular case with DeepSeek, the model expects the inputs to follow a specific format defined in the config file. So with this format, we'll ensure that the model receives prompts in the same structure it was trained on.
Got it.
And we have a couple of utility functions so that we can interact with the model using invoke model API calls. And then we have an example of like testing the model. So here is this prompt where we are asking, giving with some financial data, calculate the company's operating margin. And if you see, it's a reasoning model, it gets into all the reasoning and you get a very detailed response. I have another example here where we are solving an optimization problem. If you see, it's a lengthy use case and you can see the reasoning traces that the model produces. So it's very detailed thinking process. So this is one of the examples. Once you complete running this particular notebook, I'll navigate to the Bedrock console. Under foundation models, I have this section called imported models. Okay. And I can see my model here. And at this stage, I can open this model, test in the playground, and I can even run the prompts there. So that's something that I can do as well.
Okay, so you're model is now showing up in Bedrock because you just uploaded it into S3.
Not only uploaded in S3, I ran the entire ingest process, or I completed the custom model input process using this notebook. So that's the process. Yeah.
Very cool. And so then now this is a model that you can access through Bedrock.